Let me tell you something if you'd asked me that morning. Hey, you think your boat's about to be hijacked by the neighborhood HOA president? I'd have told you to get out of here. I wasn't even planning to stop by the marina. Nope. I just had this little spare part I needed to drop off for Siebes, my boat, before heading into work. That's it. But as soon as I turned the corner and saw a crowd at the edge of the dock, phones up, pointing, laughing man, I felt that old familiar HOA-induced dread settle right into my chest like bad coffee. You know what really set me off? It wasn't just people staring. They were cracking up. And when I followed their gaze, my heart just about stopped. There was my boat, my Siebes white hull, gleaming music blaring so loud I could feel the bass from shore. And a group of women, HOA loyalists of course, were dancing up there like they were extras in some MTV reality show, drinks, sloshing, taking selfies, having the time of their lives. And there she was at the helm, Karen. Pink sun hat, smug as a fox in a hen house, yelling, "Girls' Day Out, baby," like she owned the whole damn marina. I didn't know whether to scream faint or just hurl myself in the water. All I knew was she'd picked the wrong guy to mess with because she had no idea I worked with the Coast Guard. And before I get deeper, drop a comment with where you're watching from your local time, you know the drill. If you like HOA chaos, stick around, subscribe, you won't want to miss what comes next. Now, I wish I could tell you this was the first time Karen had gone off the rails, or even the second. But if you've ever dealt with an HOA Karen, you know boundaries don't exist for them, only opinions. Loud ones, entitled ones. Reality for people like her is whatever fits the drama she wants to start. It all started months before she ever set foot on my boat. Karen moved in just a few doors down Waterfront HOA, real nice place. Lawns manicured within an inch of their life. Was supposed to be peaceful. You know the kind of place retirees picture when they dream about walking their dog at sunrise, cup of coffee and hand breeze coming off the water. That was before Karen. Before she started enforcing her own brand of maritime law. The first time she complained about my boat, I was out polishing chrome rails, minding my own business. She struts up, bright pink blazer like some kind of superhero cape she never takes off, looks at me and goes, "You know, it's really unfair that some people have boats and some people don't." I thought she was joking. Nope. She just doubled down, hands on hips. Boats should be a community amenity. Selfish to keep yours tied up all the time. Mind you, I paid full price for Siebes. I paid for the slip, the insurance, every repair, every tank of gas. Karen, she never put a dime into that boat, but to her fairness meant redistribution of other people's property. That was just the opening act. In the next few weeks, she escalated. Notes on my door schedule community boating days. Cornering me in the driveway. Her nephew really wanted to ride in a luxury boat. Complained to the HOA board, said my selfishness was dividing the neighborhood. The board actually told her, that's not how boats work. But Karen, she wasn't going to let logic ruin her good time. And lucky for me, I had Jim, my neighbor best friend, amateur HOA documentarian. Guy never goes anywhere without his iced coffee and phone camera. If HOA drama was an Olympic sport, Jim would be up there on the podium, gold medal in hand. He'd just sort of appear from behind a hedge on his porch whispering, "She's going to explode one day." I didn't know he meant it literally. So that morning, I see Karen, queen of the marina, dancing on my deck. It clicks. This wasn't some wild impulse. She planned this. She'd finally gotten her community boat day. Except the community was just her and 3 friends who cheered every dumb idea she ever had. One of them's live streaming Girls' Day Out on the HOA yacht. Another yelling, "Karen, you're the queen." I thought my eye was going to start twitching. Jim shows up next to me, nearly spits out his coffee. "Bro, tell me this is a prank." I just stared. My brain could not compute. Jim starts filming. This is going viral already. The crowd on the dock is growing. Everyone's watching this slow-motion train wreck. I swear half of them stayed because they just couldn't look away. And then Karen sees me. Her smile turns absolutely triumphant. "Don't worry, I'm only taking her for a quick spin. A quick spin." With 4 people, drink 0 boating experience. Jim deadpans, buddy, I think you're legally allowed to pass out right now. But I didn't pass out. I locked in. You don't reason with a Karen. You don't fill out an HOA complaint form. You call the Coast Guard. Not for revenge, because I saw how she was steering, yanking the wheel, drifting toward another boat's wake. She was going to get somebody hurt. Jim leans in. You calling the HOA? I shook my head. No, the Coast Guard. He goes, oh, this just got good. I dial, eyes glued to Karen. She's steering like it's bumper cars, friends stumbling around, drinks spilling. Karen always thought consequences were optional, but not today. Today, she stole a boat belonging to a Coast Guard reservist. I got the dispatcher on the line. Calm, professional, like he's reading a weather report while my heart's in my throat. My vessel's been stolen, I say. Do you have a visual? Oh, I have a visual. Blonde woman, pink sun hat, acting like she's the queen of spring break. Jim laughs so hard I have to cover the phone. The dispatcher asks, do you know her? I explain she's from my HOA. There's a pause, like he's imagining what sort of madness comes out of a homeowners association. He says, patrol boat en route 5 minutes. Stay on shore, keep visual contact. Jim whistles. 5 minutes, bro. Your lucky day, I mutter. Doesn't feel lucky. Karen's on the bow, Titanic style, yelling, perks, ladies, we deserve this. That word deserve from Karen, it's like nails on a chalkboard. More boaters are slowing down, yelling, lady wrong side. A fisherman paddles for his life. Karen blows him a kiss. Jim's wheezing. She's going to go viral for attempted manslaughter. I rub my forehead. This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. Siebes wasn't built for this rough handling. And then I see the Coast Guard coming in. Sleek, fast, focused, real authority. For the first time that morning, I felt relief. The patrol boat pulls up, officer with a bullhorn vessel. Siebes reduce speed and prepare to be boarded. Karen freezes, her friends freeze. You could see her confidence shatter. Excuse me, we're on a private cruise, she yells. Officer repeats, ma'am, reduce speed immediately. Jim's laughing like a madman. Karen, panicked, does the opposite. Slams the throttle, shoots through a no-wake zone. The boat hits a buoy with a metallic crunch. Everyone on deck goes flying. The Coast Guard boards her in seconds. Karen loses it. Let go of me, I have rights. She gets handcuffed. Jim whispers, maybe this is my lucky day. Karen's friends are suddenly very quiet. The officer asks me, are you the owner? I raise my hand. Karen screeches. This is your fault because you stole my boat, Karen. I borrowed it. You took it without permission. Well, I knew you'd say no, Jim cracks up. Legal mastermind right there. Officer rattles off the charges. Unauthorized vessel use reckless endangerment, failing to comply with maritime regs. Karen turns to me. You're not pressing charges, right? I look at my battered boat, at this woman who never saw a rule she didn't want to break, and I smiled. Yes, I want to press charges. She howls, you can't do that. I'm the HOA president, Jim whispers. Not after this video hits Facebook. Karen goes ballistic, shrieking about oppression, harassment, her HOA rights. Officer just calmly says, no, ma'am, you're being arrested. Todd? Her husband shows up looking like a man who's aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Karen, did you have permission? She insists. With his eyes. Todd just shakes his head. Karen, that is not a thing. She screams, whose side are you on? The guy whose boat you stole. Borrowed. Her voice is so shrill a flock of seagulls takes off. Coast Guard's got it all documented. Did you give her permission? Absolutely not, Karen shrieks. He said I could with his eyes. Jim is howling. Bro? She just said you gave consent with your eyes. The officer doesn't blink, ma'am. That's not legal consent. Karen's beside herself. In the HOA handbook, it says, this isn't governed by your HOA. The officer cuts in. Karen gasps. Well, it should be. While they process Karen, her friends shuffle over. We thought this was like a neighborhood sharing program. Jim snaps. It's not a library. You don't just check out a boat. They look like they wish they could dissolve into the dock. The Coast Guard asks if I want to ride along for processing, but before I can answer, Karen tries one last Hail Mary. Todd's trying to keep her calm, but she's shrieking. Tell them I'm allowed. Tell them. Todd sighs. I'm on the side of the guy whose boat you stole. Borrowed, Karen? That's a confession. No, it isn't. Jim whispers. Yes, it is. As they're carting her off, Karen's screaming, I'm still HOA president. But even she doesn't sound convinced anymore. As the patrol boat pulls away, Karen slips on the wet deck, lands on her butt. Jim's filming, that's going in the slow-mo. He turns his phone, already 20,000 views. What video? Karen shrieks as the boat vanishes around the bend. It's the first time I've ever seen her speechless. Beautiful. The crowd starts to break up. People are whispering. Some are telling the story of how they nearly got run down by the HOA yacht. Karen's friends slink off, humiliated. Jim's giddy, replaying the video. Look at this, borrowed. That's comedy gold. Please don't let this go viral. Buddy, it's already viral. TikTok's eating it alive. I rub my face deep down. I know he's right. The internet loves chaos, and Karen is chaos personified. I head back on board Seebs with a Coast Guard officer. He points out the dent, shakes his head. Lucky she didn't rupture the hull. Lucky, I repeat, staring at the groove. Months of work restoring, painting, sanding, trashed in minutes by someone who saw my boat as a prop for her ego. Jim tries to lighten the mood. At least she didn't blow the engine. Not helping. But then he points out she's finally facing real consequences. Federal waters. They don't play. He's got a point. HOA, Karen could bully neighbors, throw fits, threaten fines, but none of that prepared her for the Coast Guard. Still, there's this weird feeling, guilt, not about pressing charges, just the sense that with Karen, the main event is never the end. Todd finds me. I'm sorry. I tried to warn her not to touch your boat. He looks hollowed out. She's always been like this. My therapist says she's addicted to confrontation. Jim perks up. You have a therapist, I have to. I'm married to Karen. Fair. Todd promises to pay for damages. That's not up to me. The Coast Guard's handling it now. He shuffles off, and I just feel bad for the guy. But the saga's not over. The Coast Guard calls, we need you to clarify something about the suspect's statements. Suspect. Karen's blaming me, saying she was borrowing for community service. Jim mutters Olympic-level delusion. At the Coast Guard station, the officer reviews Karen's claims she had permission with her eyes was leading a neighborhood outreach program. I have to stifle a laugh. No, none of that is true. Officer sighs. Karen's facing multiple charges, including damaging federal property. Then comes the kicker. She wants to speak to me, thinks I can negotiate her release. I refuse. On our way out, Karen's being escorted, shrieking, "You need to fix this," I ask. Fix what? She waves her phone. My reputation. People are laughing at me. Jim, ever helpful, shows her the viral video. Karen turns red as a tomato. Take it down, I'll sue. You committed a crime in public, Karen. Fix this. Tell the Coast Guard to drop charges. Tell people the video is fake. No. Maybe no one's ever told her that word before. She's stunned. For a split second, I see actual fear. Then it's gone. She storms off. You'll regret this. I doubt it, I say. Jim grins. She didn't throw anything. Progress. But Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, the Coast Guard calls. She claims you sabotaged your own boat to frame her, that you're jealous of her HOA presidency. Jim's on the floor laughing. Officer says her claim is declined, but will need you for further hearings. A week later, I see Karen at the marina picking up trash in a reflective vest, sunglasses so big they cover half her face. She looks humbled. Almost. She gripes. You ruined my life. You did that yourself, Karen. Jim's behind me munching popcorn. You turned me into a meme. Karen, you did that. The internet just reported it. She tries to command teenagers to delete their phones, slaps one out of their hand, Get scolded by the supervisor. Entitlement spirals before it dies, Jim says. Later, Todd sits with me. She doesn't handle consequences. She's scared. Not of the Coast Guard of people laughing at her. I nod. She thinks rules are obstacles, not laws. He shrugs. All I want is for her to stop hurting people. I agree. The real lesson, entitlement isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. People don't start out crashing boats. They start by thinking rules don't apply to them, and when nobody pushes back, it gets worse. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let reality speak. Consequences are the best teacher. So tell me, what would you have done? Ever had a Karen cross the line in your life? Drop your thoughts below. What's right? What's justice? What's too far? And if you enjoyed this wild ride, subscribe and stick around. I got a feeling the HOA circus isn't done yet.